Yeah, I couldn't deliver on this one either. I should never have had the audacity to think that my 1 APM brain could take on a math-based, discussion-oriented, presentation-formatted video in less than 2 weeks. That was stupid of me, and I apologize for not getting it up. I completely intend on finishing that episode, so for now, I'm putting it on hold. I will post it one day. Anyway, here's something that I could do in time. Roll the title card. I want to talk about the various things I enjoy. Now, I can in no way offer an educated or well-written opinion about anything I'm about to discuss, but what I can present to you is my own personal take, something new to the table of conversations. It's fun to join in the talk and solidify yourself as part of the community, so without further ado, here are my thoughts on Touhou fan content. The general plan for Thoughts On is to introduce new topics to people who aren't yet familiar with them. I know we're only 3 episodes in, but I got plans. However, I also take the opportunity to contribute my piece to the communities centered around those topics, as mentioned in the title card. So allow me to open by stating that the fans will know what I'm talking about when I say... When you talk about or even mention the words Touhou project, it becomes this innate challenge to not immediately add Touhou fan content to the mix. Touhou games are one thing, but the various fanworks are a completely different dimension entirely. If you don't know what Touhou is, first of all, what are you doing? It's like one of the largest indie games and incredibly popular on the internet, the medium which you are currently using. Secondly, Touhou project is a series of video games created by one Japanese man, Zun, known by the community for his inability to draw women, and his penchant for drinking. If this ain't an appropriate place for that good old distasteful go touch grass remark, then I don't know what is. I'm serious, at the time of making this video, there are 18 official titles in the series, with a few fighting spin-offs being in the mix according to Wikipedia. 18! I can't even make one game! What's interesting to me is that the titles themselves are usually quite cryptic to those of us in the West, with translations being somewhat hazy at times. What the heck is an unconnected marketeer? The main series games take place in a fantasy realm called Gensokyo, and entail controlling a character, usually this one or this one, defeating various bosses in your way through various levels, using magic gatlings.
I'm not Pilato, it's not Pilato. That's not Pilato. This is.
Arguably, the most important point to note about Touhou is that there are a lot of characters, and I mean a lot. Keep in mind that Touhou, literally meaning Eastern or Oriental, takes the majority of its character designs from that single definition prospect and gives us Shrine Maiden as the protagonist. But Zun likes to take more creative liberty than that, it seems. So over the years, we've gotten such colourful casts of characters as Lake Fairies, Rich People, Rich People's Basement Dweller, Aliens, This Crow, and others I don't even know about. There is still way more to the games than what I can say here, such as the in-game dialogue between the characters, the fact that there's only 2 male characters living in the entirety of Gensokyo, Mike, and so on and so forth. For what it's worth, Touhou has quite the amount of lore. But as someone who hasn't played a lot of Touhou, like the 7th one at a friend's house, it would kind of be really easy for me to pass this off as nothing more than an obscure Japanese game that exists. Something you see once and never think of again. There's a few like that. Like Fire Emblem. But it's impossible, right? Because for things like Fire Emblem, Persona, Danganronpa, and so many more franchises, all it takes is one singular trip over a metaphorical stone and suddenly your Instagram feed is full of Jujutsu Kaisen TikToks. Yeah, the anime itself looks good, but I don't want people to think I like TikTok. Fan bases are incredulous. For some people that's for all the wrong reasons, but we're not focusing on those today. Back here, hey, I'm talking about the right reasons. And today, I want to give you, in particular, my thoughts on Touhou fan content. Because unlike the fan bases I previously mentioned the names of, Touhou's fandom has a much more deeply rooted history, stemming from the small bullet hell series it once was, to a vibrant collection of iconic internet culture and more. I'm kinda hoping you'll find this as interesting as I do, but if not, then that's cool too. This can be one of those trivial pieces of knowledge you just happen to pick up randomly. With that being said, let's start from the beginning. It's worth mentioning that Touhou's first game, which for lack of motivation I'm not even gonna read out in full, dates back to 1996 on the Japanese PC 9800. What does that even mean? So it's not hard to see that Touhou's had more than enough room to grow. and boy has it come a long way since its humble beginnings. I wonder if Zun himself is able to fathom just how his simple concept of a bullet hell game managed to become so popular, and what I believe is one of the most heavily remixed franchises. In this case, when I say remix, I don't just mean music. Touhou's beloved characters have been given volumes of depth and personality in the form of fan animations, music, and more. There's so much contribution of this from the fans, I honestly couldn't tell you where they got any of it from. Like seriously, is it in the games? Obviously, there's already copious amounts of writing for the characters, the dynamics between characters, the setting, and the stories Zun has done himself, as we've observed. The dedication and creativity this single man has poured into this franchise is mind-blowing. He's kind of an inspiration to me. And it seems I'm not the only one. Did you know that Toby Fox, creator of Undertale, has not only met with Zun, but openly stated that Zun was a big inspiration to him? Legacy music artist and game maker inspired by legacy music artist and game maker. What do you know? It's a small world. That's right, you heard me say music artist. Most people at least know of Toby Fox's various songs, such as... and... just to name a few. Objectively, they're pretty good songs, right? Well, as it turns out, Zun too has an unrivaled affinity for music, composing the entirety of the Touhou OST. If you thought Toby Fox was good, try Zun's 18 games. Safe to say he earned that title of indie game dev. And a lot of this music is good. I like it. However, the place where all of this particularly shines, the music, the characters, the world, is in the fanworks themselves. Small creators and fans of Touhou contribute their own pieces to the community all the time. Things like art, music, animations. But I'm guessing you didn't click on this video just to hear me talk about things remotely related to Touhou and occasionally say people are fans of Touhou. Touhou Project developed its own legacy, but allow me to introduce you to the legacy that the fan content made for itself. Enter Nico Nico Dorga. This little Japanese YouTube knockoff is one of my all-time favorite pieces of internet history. It's a website where users can upload their own videos, and while it obviously doesn't see much attention nowadays, back in the late 2000s it was alive with more Japanese music, arrangements, and memes than characters currently on screen. And of course, this included Touhou content. We got some absolutely legendary stuff from this funny Japanese TV. Overdrive by Iosis, a techno rendition of Lunatic Eyes from Touhou 7, was done back in 2006, complete with its own quality flash animated music video. This alone has stood its ground as one of the most recognizable Touhou memes to date. In fact, it is apparently second only to Marisa Stole the Precious Thing, also by Iosis and arranged even further back in 2003. I wasn't even 1 year old yet. Its music video came along in 2006, and later down the line it even received its own number of parodies. This and Overdrive are basically the big two, which in words doesn't actually sound that impressive, but trust me, it is. Know Your Meme is a surprisingly credible source of information. But anyway, it's not too hard to see that these guys are good. Iosis is responsible for a lot of other great Touhou remixes, complete with their own animated music videos. I can say with certainty that they are by no means short of certified good classics. It's no surprise that their stuff made it into various Nico Nico Dorga medleys, the high-energy musical mashups made of content that represents Nico Nico Dorga. Let me, real quick, focus a minute on Alice Margatroyd, a Touhou character, and her portrayal in Marisa Stole the Precious Thing, because I find this quite interesting. As far as I know, Alice in the Touhou games canonically has mixed feelings towards Marisa, and if I'm wrong about that you can correct me in the comments. But Iosis takes that character trait one step further and portrays her character as straight up, full-on tsundere. And apparently even before this, fans already supported this fan-made canon. That right there is what I'm looking for. The extrapolation by fans of Touhou characters' personalities in fan-made canon. That is interesting to me, because again, where do you get that from? It's cool. Siono, another iconic character and one I myself often employ, is accepted by the community to canonically be an idiot. And not only is that funny, it also works. There's many more examples of this, some I can see being verified by actual Touhou lore, and others I think I'll let the internet verify. But it's cool to me that the fans have taken a single concept and turned it into something much, much bigger. Something to call their own. It's enigmatic to me that this is one of the only, if not the only place, where fan canon like this works. In fact, it works so well that there's an entire fan-produced Touhou anime series. Touhou Memories of Phantasm, and I'm talking about the whole biz. Quality animation, banger soundtrack arrangements, spot-on voice acting, and of course, great writing. The fact that it was the fans who arranged it all speaks volumes. Of course, I'm not trying to undermine Zun's own work. That in itself is a marvel to behold. That's why you really shouldn't see the games and the fanworks on the same level as each other, because you can't. Zun's games and the fans' creations have both developed into their own unique sides of the same coin, and are no doubt in my mind an immaculate demonstration of the heights a coexistence between creator and audience can soar to. There is literally nothing strong enough to contain the endless quantities of Touhou memes. Fumos, Reimu Racing, Euclides, Bad Apple and various apparatuses, Ronald McDonald! I could go on about this for hours if I had the brain capacity to store a longer list. Touhou fan games have made their way onto official licensed video game consoles. Yes, that includes Nintendo Switch. What even is this? This is amazing! On a related note, fans are pushing for Reimu in Smash. Personally, I see it as a very good addition objectively, though Sakurai himself has made for minimal indie game representation so far. I doubt DLC Pack 11 will be anything like that. We'll get him next time, quote from Cave Story. Going back to music real quick, I gotta shove Iosis out of the spotlight for a minute and give some attention to artists such as Silver Forest and Shibayan Records, the latter of which has officially produced a number of albums rearranging Touhou music bossa nova style. I really hope I'm pronouncing those artist names correctly. Tiny Little Adantium. Tiny Little Adiantum. Tiny Little Adiantum is the most well-known of the collection, and it is quality. Judging by this one song alone, I can tell the rest have that much more heart and soul put into them. And, well, apparently I was thinking about Touhou Bossa Nova before I even knew about Touhou Bossa Nova. I'd be lying if I didn't admit I'm guilty of contributing my own stuff to the Touhou fandom at some point. Average year-old enjoyers of yet to be confirmed will know about Tiono's presence, and the various instances of her melody, throughout the channel. And if you go further back, please don't, you'll find Only My Knives, which is a mashup of Only My Railgun from the Railgun series and Sakuya's theme from Touhou 9. I wouldn't call myself as much of a Touhou fan as perhaps most Touhou fans, but I'm just hanging out here to have fun. And well, I'm happy to report that's exactly what I'm doing. Fandoms are incredulous. You take one fiction, get a whole bunch of people to love it, and then suddenly there's a power. A power to make that fiction even bigger and more beloved than its creator could ever imagine it to be. There's a certain charm to that. I think the Touhou fanbase and its countless works show that you can really make something huge when you can really unite. Nowadays that's easier said than done, and worse still, a lot of other large fan bases are infamous for the division rather than any form of union. But maybe, just maybe, we can learn something from Touhou fan content. Maybe people will stop arguing over the things that we all enjoy and simply enjoy them. That's what I think it's all about. And I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed writing it. Editing not so much, but there's some charm to that in its own right, I guess. Hopefully I'll be able to tackle the other big fandom topic again in the near future, but I've got some other thoughts already on cue, so who knows. Besides, I'll probably need to attend a certain perfect math class before I try my hand at numbers again. Thank you so much for watching.